Thank you. Depend on each other here. Yeah, Dave Parker, that was like the Reds' first, and maybe one of the only successful free agent acquisitions.
Free agent
Yep.
acquisitions.
Yeah, because they acquired him from Oakland.
Yeah, I remember Pete Rose was manager when he came on. Maybe it was the year before Pete came on, but Pete definitely managed him.
He was there in 89, maybe 88 and 89.
89.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Lou Piniella was the manager in 1990 when the Reds won the series.
Yeah.
They broke out the broom on Oakland, ironically.
Yeah. But Dave Parker passed away. That's kind of a stunner.
Yeah.
They're holding a big red machine thing. I didn't even know about it. Like I've attended all the big red machine things in the past, all the events that the Reds have done. And somehow this one just completely escaped my notice. But this weekend is like big red machine weekend.
Do you want to go Sunday?
I can't. No.
Oh. Yes,
Well,
you can.
unfortunately, one person that didn't get mentioned in the reunion, and I feel they should have, is Davey Concepcion.
He wasn't in the reunion or mentioned in it?
He's
Nope.
sick.
Oh,
Sick.
that's right.
Maybe he doesn't want to be,
Yeah, he's not doing well at all.
So he might be next. It comes in threes.
Let's
Well,
hope
right.
not.
Parker was a little
Well,
younger than those guys, but
Yeah.
74.
What happened to him, by the way?
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's disease.
yeah.
The worst way to go.
Lou Gehrig's.
He was a Cincinnati resident. And
Yeah.
I think Aaron
Didn't
and
we
I
see him
played
at the
ball.
batting cage?
No, but we played ball against his brother.
Oh, it was Leon Durham we saw at the batting cage.
Yeah, we saw Leon Durham at the batting cage, but same batting cage where Todd Benzinger broke his wrist one year
I didn't
going down on Red
realize
Bank Road. But yeah, but Parker, we played in a league called the Buckeye League, which was an adult league. But there were a lot of not a lot of ex-minor leaguers. There were a couple ex-minor leaguers and just guys that played high school baseball and inner city baseball.
You played, I spectated.
Yeah,
I showed up on opening day and the coach was wearing the number I requested.
Well, remember he tried to lose us on the way to the ballpark because he couldn't tell us that we were cut.
No.
We played out in Ross, Ohio or something, and he kept like speeding up and trying to make strange turns and shit. And we showed up. But anyway, we played against Dave Parker's brother. And Dave Parker's brother looked just like Dave Parker in the face.
That's right.
Except he was about under 5. He's like 5'6"
He's a short Dave Parker.
Yeah. He looked just like Dave, except Dave was like 6'6" or something, But he will be missed because he was a really great player. Native Cincinnati and he had his issues and stuff like that, but I don't think they were severe or anything you cast stones at. When he was with the Pirates, there was
Cocaine.
Yeah. The rip roaring 70s.
Yep.
But
Excuse me.
anyway, that's a good
That
point,
little
Will.
spot. It's driving me nuts.
That's a good way to segue into even more bad news, I guess. Although it didn't start out that way. The beginning of the week, I thought we kind of left off. Lisa and I had gone to the No Kings protests, and we were kind of on cloud nine after that because it was really cool and everybody was really positive, and even the police were kind of standing back and just kind of being casual.
Yeah, real nice. I mean, waving,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we didn't really get a chance to talk about it because I think it took place it had just finished or was taking place when we were recording last time, the absolutely disastrous military parade that Trump has been, he's had a hard on for about the last 8 years. He's been wanting to have this military parade. Kim Jong-il.
That didn't get him off enough, so he had to bomb Iran.
Yeah.
It sure as hell seemed that way. It sure did.
And the thing is, every other country just absolutely eviscerated Trump behind that parade.
Yeah. It was, I'd heard I did read that a lot of 50-51 protesters may have bought tickets and just sat on them. I don't know if that accounted for,
How much were the tickets?
I don't know. I don't know if they cost anything, but you had to have them.
Yeah, you
Um,
probably screened people.
yeah. But it was a big fiasco. It was put on, it was all, when you think of a military parade, you don't necessarily think of advertisements. You don't think necessarily of, uh, these really slick productions.
That's what a parade is advertisements.
Hmm.
It
Pretty
is, but
much.
it's not usually as
Here's the
slick
Cons hot
as
dogs float.
What were the advertisements?
maybe
this
it's
time?
just the technology is great, but it seemed so bogus. It seemed so bizarre,
Yeah.
There was the vetting of the soldiers.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you
they
mean the
had
vetting
to
of the soldiers?
they had to well, okay. Now initially the talk
What
was
soldiers
that they had the actual soldiers that sat in the stands with
at the
Trump.
parade? Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or that marched.
Yeah.
I didn't
No,
know if
not
you
the
meant
ones
like
that marched, but the ones that actually sat up in the stands had to kind of like give a loyalty pledge of some kind.
he loves
Well, and
that.
really what they did was they asked them to, the specific questions about like their politics. And if they showed to have politics that were questionable for the organizers, they were not allowed. That also, and I quote, no fatties, no uglies.
And
So
Trump should have been disqualified.
Exactly.
Exactly.
On both counts.
Yeah.
wasn't gonna.
What did he say? He said he's 6 foot
He wants a
four.
second
Like,
opinion. You're ugly too. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
didn't he say he was like 6 foot 4? His most recent physical, he's like 6'4", 230 pounds or some shit like that.
It was, yeah, it was like he would have had whatever it was, he would have had like NFL quarterback kind of build, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, okay, so somebody recently I saw this post that when he was arrested, or when he was convicted, I guess he was arraigned,
Indicted. Yeah.
the
Mhm.
famous
The
mugshot of him.
mugshot.
Yeah.
They recorded his weight as something like 280 and like 6'1" or 5'9" or something. It was something completely different,
We can look at the mugshot and get back to you.
grossly.
Pretty sure he's taller than 5'9". He's fairly tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, usually
Yeah,
his
Barry
stature
comes
is
by
pretty
his
high.
height, honestly.
It's hard to fake height.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Do you ever see the way he
Convincingly.
sits like he's sitting on, whenever he's doing an interview, it looks like he's sitting on a toilet. He really does. It's like his
mhm.
ass kind of like hangs over the side of the,
I imagine when he does sit on the toilet, that red tie goes right down the bowl and gets wet.
probably.
Aaron.
But-
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna play here. The tank going down the street. This became very popular. The squeaky tank is sort of a
Oh,
testament to, it's like going through a ghost town, basically.
Mhm.
And it was
Very much
it was
so.
brilliant. It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your squeaky tank.
Okay.
But
Okay, and I am looking up Trump mugshot.
Will, did you watch the parade? I mean, I don't even know because the networks didn't even play
They
it,
didn't
right?
even bother covering it,
Fox
honestly.
did, I think.
Well, of course, Fox.
Yeah. So if someone was inclined to watch it,
Oh, you can buy it.
Oh,
the
you bought
parade.
No, the mugshot.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh yeah, another grift.
Well, the first thing that military types noticed when they watched the parade is that the troops were not marching necessarily, or at least they were very loosely
They
marching.
should.
That it may have been sort of an ad hoc protest of the extravagance, the ridiculous misuse of the military, and it's who knows? I don't know if that's the case or not, but when you watch it, it does not look like they were not goose stepping, that's for sure. But
No. Wasn't much of a crowd to feed off of their energy, I don't think.
right.
Right.
So I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah.
the day after. I was like, okay, so maybe, this country's maybe not going down the shitter as fast as it seemed. We
And
kind of,
then the Supreme Court says, hold our beers.
yeah,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. But you did allude to the bombing that came
Yeah.
out of nowhere. People
Mhm.
were basically they were taunting Trump
Yeah.
earlier.
It came right after Musk said that he was on the in the Epstein files.
Yep.
About a
6
day
feet.
and a half, 2 days later, we're
6'3".
bombing Iran.
According to
Could have been three.
the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, his height was taken and listed as 6'3". So the likelihood is he was probably 6'4" when when he was in his 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Because you lose about an inch by the time you're that much of a geezer.
I've lost an inch and a half.
Really? Wow. Didn't
Yeah.
know why. I mean, you're a little young for that.
I think backpacking compresses my spine.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that and gravity.
Yeah.
Have you ever
And
considered
gravity.
doing that upside down thing?
No, sounds fun. I don't know what you're talking about.
Give you a head rush,
Uh,
probably. Inversion therapy.
I actually saw an inversion thing, where you sit on it and then you go upside down. I saw one at the secondhand store recently. Mind you, that wouldn't be much help to you, although I guess we could ship it to you, but we'd probably have to pay more for the shipping.
I think the guy's name
It's
was
the item.
Roger Teeters.
Mhm.
And ironically, the thing seemed like a teeter-totter because you'd stand on it and then you'd like take your arms back and you'd go all the way upside down.
Mhm.
And inversion therapy, you just kind of,
And if you want, there's like a seat belt and you hold on to some things and until you're inverted.
but so
Mhm.
there was something going around that like Rachel Maddow and Kyle Kalinske and a lot of the people that are on Substack were pointing out that Trump had this thing about 2 weeks.
Mm.
Everything happens in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's always been his.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hadn't been
That's
that
always
aware
been
of
his
it.
kick the
Trump.
can distance is 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And almost 90% of the time it's after 2 weeks. He's on to something else. He almost never gets around to what he suggests he might do in 2 weeks.
Yeah, or if it comes up again, he throws out another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When they were negotiating with Iran,
Mhm.
if you want to call it that, he threw out a unit of time of 2 weeks when he'll decide if he was going to attack Iran. And then he almost proceeded. I think 2 days later he attacked after suggesting people had no idea what he was going to do, and he was doing for whatever chess or whatever the hell he fucking thinks. But uh
In which, keep in mind, the attack on Iran was an epic failure,
yeah.
We still
like
don't know,
everything
but
else.
yeah.
Well, yeah, at the very least we don't know. And
But
there's no
I'm pretty sure it's not the complete obliteration that Trump announced.
right. They
Well,
were
there was a report that Trump didn't use the bunker busters.
that's
Really?
interesting.
Yep.
Now, why is that relevant for those
That's
who might
allegedly the
ask?
whole reason we're there is we're the only ones with the plane that can carry the mops, the
Okay.
massive ordnance, whatever they are.
Mm.
And
Okay.
yeah, I guess Netanyahu's been begging for years for us to drop them over there, and then Trump, a couple days after
Mm.
Musk said the Epstein files, went ahead and did it.
Yep.
But
So yeah,
the idea,
the main place is in a mountain, right? Like 900 meters under the surface. And it's all reinforced with the special concrete that they make that's got I don't know, shards of steel or something little, it's got fibers of stuff that when the missiles hit it slows it down. It doesn't get down as far as they think it would. I don't know.
But everything's speculation. They had the uranium enriched, or was it the enriched uranium?
Yeah.
And speculation is that they got a lot of it out of there before they attacked because they were
Mhm.
notified it was going to happen. And the thing that I thought was weird that
Yeah, they probably put it in an elementary school.
Trump
They said the
mentioned,
satellite images showed trucks coming and going a lot, right before the attacks, like they were moving it.
well, Iran countered with an attack on our, on us.
Military base was it in Qatar?
Or yeah.
Qatar?
But they told Trump in advance.
See, now that's what I find fishy about it.
He
It sounds like
says.
there's some kind of reciprocal exchange going on there. If they were,
Mhm.
if they're going to tell us in
It does.
advance that they're going to attack us,
Mhm.
then is it a leap of logic to think that maybe we had
Think
told
they
Iran,
sent
you got 2 days to arrange for the bombing that we're about to.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
when he said everybody get out of what city was it?
Tehran.
It's Tehran.
Everybody evacuate Tehran. I think that was his way of saying we're going to be bombing you.
Yeah, good.
And it's an interesting
Well, he bombed pretty shortly thereafter. Yeah.
yeah. It's an interesting idea.
Although did he hit Tehran at all?
No.
No, Israel did.
Oh, Israel did.
There were 3 sites that they hit. There's a strategic attack just to disable their nuclear capability or ambitions. But
Yeah, but I think all but like 2 of the MOPS, supposedly, at least the first report, all but like 2 of them went to the one in the mountain.
yeah,
Farno, is that what it's called?
Like that.
was supposed to be the most critical one. But they seized on the
Farno,
chance.
and the other one had IFS or ISF. It starts with some unusual letters that makes it a difficult place to remember the name of.
They seized on the chance to just say this was a complete obliteration. And they had just come out of a briefing about it because the same word obliteration was used by multiple members of the cabinet. They were all on the same page. They were going to do the media rounds and explain how they've responsibly used power, even though they didn't go through Congress as they're supposed to do to authorize an act of war like that. But they used power strategically and responsibly to neutralize the nuclear threat of a terrorist, all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's over now. And if, the implication is
But Day war, I ended it.
if
the best.
if every president was as, decisive and, responsible as he was, there would be peace in the world because I mean, it was just crazy.
Decisive.
It was fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
It was
I like to
obnoxious.
keep my options open. I like to wait until the last possible second. He said that something about that last week
Yeah.
about the bombing.
And the sad part is every time
indecisive.
we get involved in a skirmish or a war, which party is in power?
Yeah.
Republican.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is true. That is true. Almost invariably, it's a Republican administration. But I guess since Vietnam, I guess.
Right.
But
Well,
actually,
not to mention the sorry, go ahead.
Actually, FDR knew of the impending attack on Pearl Harbor, and he did nothing about it until after the fact.
right. I did read a book, At Dawn We Slept, it was called, by John Tolan, I think, about that.
Yep.
That's a very good book.
Mhm.
But so they went on this media. I mean, they could not have even known. There was no way they could have known the amount of damage when they announced that was part of the entire fiasco, and it was to get a victory in the wake of this colossal
Parade
there
failure.
are myriad reasons why they did it. It wasn't just a parade, but you do get the feeling that was a catalyst that set him off a little bit, maybe
Right.
to do it right then. And subsequently, they said that it was a 12-day war and that it's over now. And I find that, okay, there's a ceasefire that Iran has agreed to. Even over the last couple days, the Ayatollah has come out and declared victory over Israel, and is being provocative, suggesting that the United States better not try
Yeah.
this again, threatening language.
He and Trump are equally as full of shit as the other.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
But there is no, okay, this ceasefire bullshit is bullshit. This shit's been
Yeah.
going on since the Bible. It's like,
Yeah.
this is not, to try to put a stamp on it like, hey, I did this and I stopped this.
Yeah,
It's a
Yeah.
fucking joke.
It lasted for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a false victory.
Yeah, it didn't last 12 days. It lasted what? Yeah, 45 minutes.
And Iran is crawling with terrorists. You got to know that there is going to be some kind of reciprocation at some point. This is not,
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing, because I was telling people Iran really doesn't have to lift a finger because they've got 4 groups that are willing to do it for them.
Yeah.
Al Qaeda, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi.
right. Right. And people want to nominate
Yeah.
people with a
Hamas,
straight
they're
face.
thrilled with Trump right now.
With a straight face, people were coming out and saying he deserves it. Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for this bull. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, for bombing someone.
That's the day I got on the thread and I was like, I can't take this. I can't take this anymore. It's like, I can't listen to this fucking bullshit from people. I can't. It's
Yeah,
Well,
Anyway.
the Republican Party is going to be goose stepping right behind Trump, because how dare they defy beloved leader?
yeah.
yeah. Right. It's
Yeah, they're owning the
matter of
left,
course.
man.
Because I mean, between Hegseth, Bondi, and what's his name from Texas, or not Texas, Florida.
Cruz?
But between those 3, I mean, it turns your stomach to hear them.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
But
then after the decision that the courts can't rule, what was it, nationally,
Oh my God.
the state courts.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean-
unless you've already got a lawsuit out or something like that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Newsom just filed a lawsuit for $737 million, which, keep in mind, is exactly what Dominion sued for in their defamation suit.
Okay.
Interesting. Against Fox News.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and Fox News has had to put out more retractions than anybody.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But I think people want to they want to kick out some people. Like Newsom really got in the bad graces of people when he had his podcast and he had Charlie Kirk and fucking all these Republicans on that trying to break bread and be a kind of a centrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard other podcasters and say, well, you need to cast him aside. He's Hakeem Jeffries is not being an appeaser and all this shit. But I think there has to be more. People have to come together more because the Republicans and MAGA are completely under one terrible, Genghis Khan type leader, but still they are all behind one leader. And to be completely fragmented, like the left appears to be, is kind of dangerous right now. So I think you got to accept like Gavin Newsom back and give him some, he was probably trying to figure that shit out and made some mistakes. Now, like Bill Maher, I think he's full of shit. I don't know what's going on with him. And Stephen A. Smith, I think those guys, for whatever reason, they want to do this like both sidesism bullshit. Like
Stephen A. Smith's thinking about running himself, right?
He is. But he's also like, well, this is the president of the United States. You have to respect the office. You can't.
No, you don't.
It's not this. It's not normal times. It's like.
Right.
But
that was my position when I was younger, but
well, somebody's
not with this one.
Yeah.
Nope.
Anyway, I mean that's the big story that's ongoing. I don't know. Have you guys heard anything today? Saturday seems to be like a.
Actually, I did. Bondi actually fired 3 prosecutors from the January 6th trials.
Wow. Yeah, that. I mean, okay, the speculation is a lot of these ICE guys, these people who are doing ICE, arrests, are January 6th criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Proud Boys and Oath Keepers.
Right.
Yeah.
I did. I was hesitant to say this because I didn't act on it.
Mm.
But when we were at UC at No Kings, I did. I mean, right there in the middle of the crowd, there was a guy that was dressed all in black with a mask, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I looked. He had a hoodie on, and it looked like he had a canister or something. I was like, I don't know.
So obviously nothing happened.
Nothing happened, but it was
Right,
weird.
right.
It was weird.
Goodness.
Yeah.
And it might have been perfectly,
Might have
perfectly
been.
fine. No, nothing wrong.
Right.
I didn't catch any news today. I went on a big hike, and then I watched the documentary on HBO, Surviving Ohio State. Man, that's dark.
Yeah. What's that about? Exactly.
Um,
Yes.
the
Inform our guests.
the doctor that was in charge of all the athletic teams at Ohio
Sexually
State
assaulting them.
was, yeah, sexually assaulting people for decades, thousands of people.
And
And all these
it
athletes
kind of
were,
covered up.
the administration and all the executives would just brush it aside. Jim Jordan would brush it aside. Oh, that's just Dr. Strauss. Ha 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 ha. Oh, he's masturbating in the shower and touching your ass. Yeah, it's Dr. Strauss.
Wow. It's kind of like
And
Jim Turno's situation.
it's a total joke, but on a bigger scale. Or it's funny we don't remember that guy's name,
Yeah, right.
Who,
which is
Paterno?
probably for the best. No, the
Oh,
assistant
Ohio
coach of
State
his
guy?
that was the Penn State, all these state schools.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
And they also mentioned there was the Michigan gymnastics doctor too that was found guilty. That verdict inspired all these wrestlers to come out because they were these masculine dudes that were they basically couldn't talk about it to anybody. Yeah.
Right.
And it really messed up some of their lives. This one hockey player really messed his life up.
Yeah.
Messed his mind up. He couldn't believe it.
That is fucked up.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
and Jim Jordan called the brother. I guess there were two brothers, both wrestled, and one of them was the main guy that was suing the university.
Mm-hmm.
And he called him up crying, asking him to drop the suit, asking him to convince his brother to drop the suit. It's worth the watch, but it is dark, man.
Yeah.
Extremely.
HBO or it's on Max.
And unfortunately, with the Penn State situation, it ended up costing I forget his name right now, the head coach, of the football head coach. It cost him his legacy.
Yeah, Paterno
died behind that of a broken heart.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he just turned a blind eye to it, which there's complicity. Not to bring it back around, but there's complicity not only with the crimes.
Joe Paterno, that's who I'm thinking.
Yeah, Joe Paterno. They actually refer to that, Phil, in this doc. The lawyer guy or the guy that was doing a deposition refers to it as intentional indifference.
Okay, that sounds like a perfect description. Intentional indifference, yeah.
Anyway, I'd recommend watching it, but
right, it's not exactly you sitting down. You're not enjoying something just because you find it compelling or interesting.
no, but oh man,
yeah,
Jim Jordan's such a fucking liar. He's busted in this.
It's what they say. It's kind of like watching a train wreck, I guess.
Yep, nothing good's going to come out of it, but you watch anyway.
Yeah.
Mm.
So some of the other fallout in the last 2 weeks, uh, they did capture the suspect in the murder of, um, was it a Congresswoman, Melissa Hortman, or was she Senator?
Minnesota State.
She was a speaker.
Okay. They
State
captured
House.
Vance Bolter, and he had a lot of provocative crap in his truck when he was captured. He had some No Kings flyers. He had a list. He had a murder list that included Amy Klobuchar and other, prominent members of the Democratic Party in Minnesota.
I wonder if Al Franken was on the list.
That's a good question. He wasn't active.
Yeah.
He's not active,
He's
unfortunately.
retired, basically.
Yeah.
But
God, remember when having touching boobs decades prior in your history was enough to be disgraced and resigned from all?
yeah, I mean, what he
Where
did
we
was
ended up.
totally inappropriate for sure. But
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, but and
What
the
exactly
thing is,
did Al Franken do? I never paid attention.
he was on a plane, and there's like some kind of military tour that he was on, and a woman he was with passed out, and he took some pictures where he was, looking like he was inappropriate.
pictures,
Yeah.
Okay.
and the thing is with Bolter, keep in mind it was Elon Musk that called him a left-wing radical.
Right.
Yeah, Mike
Here
Lee
to find
too.
out he was a Trump supporter.
Mike Lee called him, said, "This is what happens when socialists are." What was it? Damn.
Right. Right. I can't remember the exact quote either, but yeah, they were quick to try to put it before anything came out about it. They were quick to try to pin it on
On the left.
on the left.
He's like a deeply religious conservative. Why do religious people feel so okay about killing?
Because
it's
it's been
babies.
going on for I would say centuries now. Because
Yeah.
I mean, take a look at the Crusades. That was behind Christianity. So
Right.
it's inbred.
Inbred, maybe that's the answer.
What I'm doing that would have had me put to death?
What are you doing? Holding water?
Holding water with my left hand.
Oh, being left-handed. Yeah.
Oh,
That's right.
At one point, that was you were a witch, and they would burn you to at the stake or drown you.
Those were the Puritans.
Well,
the Puritans and the
no,
Quakers.
it was before that though. It was that was happening.
Don't worry, we're going
before
back
the
there.
Puritans.
Science is dying.
The Scottish people, the Scots were very much into burning witches. And I mean,
fucking
you didn't
cold up there.
necessarily get burned at the stake, but back in like the 12th and 13th century,
Toss
being
another witch on the
left-handed,
fire, you're good for the night.
and especially a left-handed female, her family would hide her away and then marry her off to somebody to get rid of her.
Well, okay, so we had some more stuff. We have there was a guy in the Don Lemon show. He had a great nickname for Trump. He observed that everything that Trump seems to touch gets fucked up, so he called him the quicker fucker upper. I thought that was pretty awesome. If you're our age, it's the quicker picker upper, right? For Charmin Bounty. Then there was Brad Landman, who was the what is that office that he held in New York? Anyway, he's a mayoral candidate, but he has recently been attending court hearings for immigrants that are on trial and in jeopardy of being deported, to try to guide them out of the courtroom whenever they're
when they're about to be picked up by ICE.
Absolutely loving the Pope.
Yeah. Oh, the Pope.
Yeah.
The
priests. He's sending priests and cardinals to courts to protect.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked in at least one instance.
Yeah.
But yeah, Landsman
And there's
didn't
been
get.
no news that anyone's been arrested, any of
Was he
the religious
was,
figures.
was Landsman thrown to the ground or something? What happened to him?
He was rough, manhandled or whatever. He was arrested, made a big
He
scene,
was
taking him
probably
out.
hoping it would.
Later on, he was out that
Okay.
afternoon. He said, "Don't worry about me. I've got good lawyers. Worry about the actual American citizens that are having their rights violated, that don't have good lawyers and don't have the money to do it." So, but that's just another example of their Gestapo tactics. Um,
Hmm.
this is what happened when Marxists don't get their way, is what Mike Lee said.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Marxists.
And didn't he get on the scoreboard for something else, Aaron? I think he put something for Mike Lee.
He's always on there. I
Yeah,
don't have anything handy. But yeah, about 2 days ago.
yeah. I think I might have it here.
It's okay, Phil can cut this part out.
Yeah.
Aaron can fill his coffee.
I might come across it as we go down this list here. I'm on an energy drink right now. I'm sorry, you guys cut me off if
No, we need that. I just woke up from a nap.
oh, okay. But anyway, this nuclear bomb theory from Iran really is starting to sound like the weapons of mass destruction from the last Iraq War and George W. Bush.
Yeah, and there was something I was going to say, but I forgot. And it was how Netanyahu accused Iran of violating the ceasefire, and that's the exact same thing he did with Hamas with the ceasefire in Gaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to be his favorite tactic.
Hot calling the kettle black there. Yeah. Okay, so Tulsi Gabbard, in the aftermath when people were, well, no, actually, this we probably should have covered this before.
Leading up to the bombing, yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard.
It's hard to remember where we left off. Everything just happens so fast,
Right. Every day it's something else.
Rapid fire.
Yeah. She had done a report where she declared that Iran is not trying to build a nuclear weapon. And when confronted about it, Trump was like, "Who said that?"
They called her a liar, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not that, oh, well, that's not the information I got. No, she's a liar.
He said, no, she's wrong.
Right. And then 2 days later.
But all the security agencies were in agreement with her.
Right. So, again, they act as if there's never going to be any blowback. They'll never be out of power because all this shit is going to come down hard on them at some point. If not Trump, there's going to be Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, all these people that have followed him down the wormhole are going to be, they're going to have repercussions.
Well, right now, Gabbard and Hegseth, they're not exactly want to talk about. Trump's not their number one fan right now.
No.
No, I agree.
Because they're making him look bad.
Right.
He does a good job of that himself too, but yeah.
Exactly. He doesn't need any help.
But they accuse Trump a lot of. Sometimes I think that really you don't get to the root of the matter when you just pick on people's idiosyncrasies or personal issues. Like they like to talk about Hegseth being an alcoholic and that he's, I've seen people try to nitpick that this is what an alcoholic looks like when they're angry. That may be the case. I don't know, but
not to mention narcissist.
Yeah, he's just a dick, is what it is.
It's like she was from Fox News, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most of his team, is Fox News.
But there are some videos.
Considering that's where he came from.
Yeah.
Trump kind of likes his, his image. He's a bro. He's tatted up, He's got the sideburns. Yeah, there's all kinds of video of him partying and.
Oh, okay.
Members of the security Much of the outrage fueled by his tattoos, which include a symbol known as the Jerusalem cross on his chest, another saying Deus Vult, Latin for God wills it, and a common battle cry during the Crusades, the religious wars led by Catholics to convert Muslims a millennium ago. Those symbols also used by groups that associate with Christian identity. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks hate groups, defines that as an anti-Semitic racist theology that asserts white people are favored by God in the Bible. That includes Christian nationalist and pro-Confederate groups, among those in full force during the January 6th Capitol attack. We spoke about those symbols with Matthew Taylor, a scholar on this topic and recent author of The Violent Take It by Force, the Christian movement that is threatening our democracy.
In both of these symbols, there's an invocation or at least a reference to the Crusades. Now, the Jerusalem cross, that gets used all over the place. The Deus Vult tattoo tends to signal more far-right extremism. I do not know of any mainstream Christian groups or leaders who have embraced that in the modern world.
I know it's hard.
Thank you. Depend on each other here.